Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 6 of Coding for Cure. We will learn to code in Python while also helping out the Cure Foundation in its mission to cure childhood cancer. All profits from this course will benefit Cure. I'll have a donate link posted in the description of this video for anybody who wants to pitch in and help Cure. In this video, we're doing a little exercise, something a bit different. If you remember from last week, if you watched that video, which you can see on my channel, we talked about how this week we're going to be creating a calculator via using the functions and procedures we learned last week. Haven't watched last week's video, feel free to click on the channel and go watch that video. But anyways, let's get started with this coding exercise. So one of the first things I'm going to do is teach you one of the main things that a lot of professional coders like to do is called a header. So essentially what a header is what I've typed out right here, which is these three quotes, these three double quotes in a line, followed by another three double quotes. This is the same thing as the comment function, which we can use to comment our code, aka adding lines that don't actually do anything. They're just there for a description of what the code does. The difference between these is that, however, I can make a multi-line comment by using these three followed by another three, these quotes. But anyways, let's write a header out. So in this case, I'll name it my name. For example, we'll do coding for here. We can write to the date, which we could say as Tuesday, October 22nd. And then we can write out what we're doing in this video. For example, since this is a calculator, we'll write calculator. So next, let's define main. So main is where all of our code will go into this main method. Any code we have that's not a function or procedure that will be called multiple times in our code should go into main. So let's write out our main statement. DEF defining the function main. So let's write that. Open up our parentheses, which will have nothing in them, for the time being. And then first, let's write out some basic statements. The first thing what our calculator we want to do, since it's going to be happening in the terminal, aka when I run my code, where the code will appear. In this case, of course, we're having an error, but that's not a big deal. So, of course, since it's in the terminal, we want the user to have some context, right? If they run this code, they should know like what is the code going to do. So we can, for example, write print, welcome to the calculator. We can just write that. And now we've given the user a bit context what they're doing. In this case, we can comment that line out and say context. Let's just space these out a bit better. That should fix that up. Just printed welcome to the calculator. And then we can do first, what do we need from the user for a calculator to work? Well, in this case, since we're only doing two numbers and an operation, we'll just need three things from the user. Number one, what kind of operator do they want to use? Do they want to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? And then secondly, what numbers do they want? What is the first number they want to do? What is the second number they want to do? Which we'll be using the operator on. So let's write out some input statements to get that data from the user. First define operator. We will make a new comment saying variables from user, aka what the user is putting in. All right. Variables from the user. Okay. So we'll set the operator equal to input. What operation would you like to use? The question mark at the end. We will give them a quick parentheses, which will contain all the operators they can use, such as plus, minus, the division operator, and the multiplication operator. All right, make a new line. Now, let's define the numbers. So we'll do number one, aka the first number we'll input, equal that to input. What, what is the first number? Just like that. All right, so there is actually one interesting problem here. By default, the input function will take whatever data the users put it in, and it will output a string, aka it will set number one equal to a string value. So what's the problem with that? The problem with that is that when you run an operator on strings, it just combines them rather than doing any actual arithmetic. Because of that, we need to make sure that our numbers are integers. To solve this, we can use a simple function that's already in Python. This function, I've already talked about the opposite of it. I believe I mentioned it once before as well. It's called integer. So it's the exact same thing as if you need to convert integer when you're outputting something in a print function. And since you can't mix different variable types in a print, you need to convert your integers into strings via the use of the str command. Similarly, we can use int to convert the default input from the user from a string to an integer. So that fixes our problem with the operators, right? Since we're just getting one more number, we'll copy this line of code as it should be the same for both. And we will quickly paste that down there. We will set it to be number two because of course you don't want to assign number one and number two the exact same one. And we'll make it print what is the second number you would like to use. All right, so we're done with the inputs. Now let's get to the actual heavy lifting. So let's write out, first of all, a logic tree. Just like we went over in the first episode, we can make our code do different things or split down different logic paths based on some of the users inputted or based on what a variable equals. In this case, our main logic paths will be based on whatever operator the user puts in. For example, if the operator is addition or a plus, it should add both numbers. If it's a minus sign, it should subtract the numbers, and so on and so forth. Let's make a logic tree for that. So let's first start with if operator equals, aka is the value of operator equal to the plus sign. If it happens to be so, then let's say we can have a third number, which is equal to add num1, num2. So of course, you might be wondering, why did I write add? That's not really a generic function in Python, right? So we have to define the function add later, and that's what we're going to do. We'll also write a procedure to make our output look all nice and fancy. We don't want to write the same line of code again, just output. Do output number one, number two, operator, and number three. And that will work. All right, so next, let's go and define the function add. So we're going to exit main, because remember, in Python, the way logic works is you simply indent to indicate something is inside something else. For example, everything in main is indented one into main. Everything in the if is indented one more extra time. Let's define the add then. We'll do, we will make a comment and we'll say defining add. We'll do def add. And we'll take in two numbers for add, right? That's all we really need. In this case, for example, we do number one, number two. So we'll do A, comma, B. Again, because what I write as the placeholder values does not have to be the same as what the actual values will be. That means I can use it for many different other scenarios rather than just when it's number one and number two. So for this, it's a very simple line of code. We can just do, for example, C is equal to A plus B. In this case, we made a new variable called C, and C's value is equal to what you get when you add A and B. Then, as a function, we can simply return a value just like all functions do. We'll return C. And when we return C, that would return our product of the addition. So, of course, let's make our output function because, again, our output method, because we need to see the output, of course. We'd like it to be all fancy rather than being the boring, same bland, boring thing like a print statement. So we'll do line output, and we are going to def output. What is output equal to, guys? In this case, again, just like we defined over here, output should take the first number, second number, operator, and then third number. So in this case, we can do the exact same thing, like A, B, operator, and C, just like that. So then we can do print a print statement. We can open it, and then we can write str, of course, to convert all our integers. Stra, the first number, and then we'll do operator. We'll add a plus sign first. Operator, plus sign again, string B, of course, the second number. Operator performed on the first number and second number is equal to, we'll then have a equals in these quotes to indicate that equals is a string. And then we will add a plus sign to make sure that our code is formatted properly. And then we'll just simply do string of C again, because C would be an integer. All right. Of course, we got to make sure to add the final part of our main, which will be our if underscore underscore name underscore underscore is equals to main. Of course, we'd have underscores on both sides of main. We can then run main by doing said piece of code. Of course, we can also put a little comment here saying that this is main. In this case would be running main. So now let's run this code. So welcome to the calculator. What operation would you like to use? Let's say we're going to use addition because of course it's the only operator we have currently. What is the first number? Let's say it's 7. Second number, let's say it's 8. Therefore, it prints the output of 7 plus 8 is equal to 15, which is correct. Let's see what happens when we use a different operator. What if I want to use subtraction? Let's see. 7, 8. It has no idea what to do, of course, because we haven't defined what should happen. We only have an if statement here that's saying if the operator is equal to plus, do that. Otherwise, it doesn't know anything. It doesn't know what to do. So let's fix this code by giving it some logic. First, let's write a statement that will become helpful later. We'll do an else statement. Else, if it's not one of the operators that we have a defined, that we have like a defined logic path for, like the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, which we'll add later. If it's not one of those, then print error, error, invalid operator. Just like that. Now, if we run our code again, let's see. Addition sign, 9, 10. Of course, that's going to work. Now, let's use multiplication. Multiplication of 9, 10. It says error invalid operator, just what we wanted it to. Now, since I've already done the code for the addition sign, if you guys want to pause the video here, you can try and do the others, such as subtract, multiply, and divide. You guys can pause the video here, and I'll go over the solution real quick after this. All right, let's get into it now. To finish up our code, we will simply have some more logic options for it. We'll have elifs, of course, which are other options that the tree can go down. In this case, we'll have 3 more elifs. One for subtraction, one for multiplication, one for division. So we'll do elif operator is equal to this one, which we can set for subtraction. Elif operator is equal to subtraction, then equal to, we can set it just as sub for subtract. And we can just output it. And then if it were to be multiplication, we can set it to be mult. And if it happens to be divide, let's set that to be div. Now let's try out those methods. This will be pretty simple to write. We'll simply just take our definition of add and we'll modify it to suit our purposes. Let's change up these. We'll do sub for subtract. Find sub. That's going to be equal to a minus b. We'll do multiplication as mult. And then we'll do def. Mult. And then we'll do def div. So for people who know math out there, a lot of y'all, you may be aware of something. You may pipe up and say, hey, wait a minute. We know that whenever we plug it into the calculator, any number divided by 0 causes a divide by 0 error, right? If we plug it into our code's going to have a massive error whenever it tries to divide anything. When it tries to divide and b happens to be 0. Again, we can solve this using a logic tree. In this case, we can have a simple tree which just has if b happens to be equal, if b itself is equal to 0, then we shouldn't calculate anything. We should just let the user know there's going to be an error. We can use a print statement, and then we can simply write out error, just like that. Then we can have a simple else statement here. that says in any other case, sorry, I didn't mean to say, well, print error, of course, error to divide by zero. It's a function we need to return a value. In this case, we'll return the value of error. In any other case, we'll just simply tab in, so it does A divided by B and returns C. So now let's see if our code works. Let's do our subtraction. We'll do 7 and 9. 7 minus 9 equals -2. It's able to handle negative numbers too. We'll simply put the multiplication operator, say a random number like 987, 657, and we got a pretty massive number, like we should. Now, let's do one more. Just finish it off with our division. Division operator will say 55 and 11. 5 divided by 11 is equal to 5. And if we were to divide by 0, in this case, we'll do like 789. 789, 0. Button says error. Error, divide by 0. So that is it for this video. We went over our calculator exercise, and I hope you guys learned something about functions and procedures, and maybe a little bit about operators too. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, please donate to Coding for Cure if you can. The link is posted in the description of this video, and I hope you all have a good rest of your week.